Today we have Kriyanna Feyalove here with us in the Guardian Alliance as we're launching her first course. The course today is Ecstatic Awakening Meditation. And it's just so juicy. It's got so much yum. And honestly, the audio tracks, are really what take you all the way in there. And the audio tracks were created by a group called Entheo, at least the music behind the tracks. And it's just absolutely stunning. Kriyanna, welcome. It's wonderful to have you with us here today. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So tell us what inspired you to bring this course forward in the first place. Like why Ecstatic Awakening Meditation? What's this about?
Well, that's a really great question. It's been something that slowly developed over years of offering different courses and tuning into what students liked and worked well for them, and letting go of things that I was trying that did not work well for them. And I think it also has a lot of roots in my own personal tantric practice of working with literally probably close to about 2,000 people one-on-one in private sessions, and discovering what kinds of practices really helped people to awaken their own energy body, Kundalini energy, without going too fast, and peeling off the layers bit by bit so that they could be in a more and more activated state from the practices. And discovering that we can awaken Kundalini energy through things that are as simple as presence and breath, and being sensually aware in our physical bodies, and how like the states of pleasure and bliss that we can get in just from something that seems very simple, but can also become very complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the meditation work I reviewed and going through the course is very simple, but it's really about a process, and it's the process of kind of moving through these different layers of unlocking the body, of moving the hips in some of the lower chakra meditations where you're just rocking and breathing and kind of connecting and engaging with the process of the feeling inside your body. And it's extremely potent. And in a way, it's almost hypnotic listening to the beautiful music that Amma and Theo created, behind you, because there's this like rich, encompassing experience that starts moving in. It's very immersive. It's really fun to go through. It's awesome.
Yeah. I find that one of the things that really holds us back as people from reaching our full potential is being afraid to look weird or to do movements that seem strange, like we keep ourselves from making noises. We keep ourselves from expressing through our bodies, and we're kind of trained to be these like rigid robotic beings, especially when we're around others. And a big key to this practice is really setting our voice free, setting our bodies free, setting our minds free, so that we can have full permission to be as totally weird as we want to, and allow everything to get moving and flowing instead of sticking and staying stagnant in our systems.
Yeah, because we have to keep moving. We have to keep flowing. We have to keep allowing our energy to express itself. Or you're right, we do get stagnant and we get stuck. And I love what you're saying, because, and this is why in the Ring 2 series, this course is a Weaver Wizard course, because it's Weaver primarily. And we're using that orange harmonic, and we're developing that ability to trust ourselves. For those of us in the Guardian Alliance who are students and have been following, our work and gone through the Weaver course, Alex basically tells them to get out there and lay down on the concrete in the middle of a public place and, you know, do snow angels on the ground, or like get up and sing a song in the middle of a place where, you know, be, you know, it's so hard for people to just get up and sing in public in the middle of nowhere in front of people a lot of times. But these are the gifts that of generating that level of trust and that charisma that's a natural part of us, and unlocking that field.
Yeah, and then we get to get into the realms of having a good time with our practice, and we're not taking ourselves too seriously anymore, which is a huge part of everything. I think, you know, we get so like, I'm into this deep healing and this deep process, and yes, we need to do that, but also we can really have a good time and be silly and enjoy it. And then we get into that space of lightheartedness, and that is part of the healing process itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the developing of the lightheartedness and the softening and trusting around how to just be who we are, and that's okay. And, you know, in our society and culture, it's like feeling okay with being turned on, you know, feeling okay that it's natural to be turned on and alive, and like that there's nothing wrong inherently with sexual energy. And it's not just sexual energy, it's energy, you know,
it's
and
creative energy.
It's creative energy. Exactly. I mean, yes, like, you know, the feeling of passionately like wanting to drive my creative force into the world, you know, to penetrate the world with my creative force, and that erection within of being activated and aligned to my destiny. God, what a good thing, right? And look, it's blissful, it's beautiful, it's joyful, and it exudes the joy of the inner experience to feel that creative sensual energy connected to our purpose, to our work.
Yes, absolutely. And in addition, finding a balance with that surrendered, receptive state as well. You know, we have this exuberance and this energy that you were describing that wants to just burst forth from us, and we get so excited and impassioned.
Masculine.
And then, yeah, very masculine. And then also being surrendered, being receptive, accepting what's happening around us and learning how to respond to it and roll and flow with it as well. It's super important.
It reminds me, I think, of the first time we actually had a conversation, and I believe we were in up at in Sunshine Coast in British Columbia, and we were at the DNA party, which was like David, Nico, and Amy, I think is their name's house. And it was a morning after a night of lots of intensity and like kind of dark fields and forces coming in, and like having to kind of come around the fire and continue to create while like there's, you know, drunk people arriving. There was lots of waves of intensity that night. And I remember dropping in with you, and it was the first light of dawn was sort of in the space, and there was mists over the land and in the forests, and we were up kind of looking down upon the space after these cycles of karmic clearing had passed. And I remember very clearly you speaking to me about that place in us that has to surrender and really open up and align with the field of Gaia, opening up to accept where we are and to accept everyone for where they're at in this time. And I'll never forget that moment, because it really showed me in that moment that tantric capacity that was part of you, which is about really, it's about deep, deep spiritual surrender and opening, and to receive and fully receive and embrace all the energies that may be in any moment.
Yeah, radical acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great, because it really is capturing the essence of, you know, we interweaving and and unifying, integrating the two aspects of ourselves into one. Because often when we think of sexual energy, we think of the way that we're interacting with things outside of ourselves, and especially in intimate relationship. But there's sexual energy within us that wants to be integrated. And a lot of folks have, their receptive and projective side are kind of at odds and in a battle within. And that's one thing that this practice really does, is help to integrate both sides so that we are acting in harmony from within. And then we can interact in harmony with the environment around us as well, in our relationships, all of our relationships, and all of the things that are happening in our lives.
Yeah. And, the wizard aspect of that, right, is about actually identifying like where and how, what aspects of our consciousness are looking for that deeper harmony, right? So
Yes.
in some of your practices, as you go through it, you're working the field, but then you're using that stillness place of the focus on the body, which is what we cover in the first wizard course, which is like stilling the mind, and through just like watching and witnessing the thought flows coming through, and sort of gaining that higher point of perspective on our minds and what we're creating and what our will is doing. And so in the practices throughout your course, you're keeping people focused on the body experience and allowing them to witness the kinds of things and resistances and pains and stuff that's coming up as they're experiencing the energy and the Kundalini flowing up through their chakras. And I think that's beautiful, and it helps us to really identify where and how we're blocking the flow of energy within us. And then we can breathe into it. Then we can bring that generative force and field and love into those spaces to allow them to open up more.
Yeah, we get to, through that awareness that we're led into in this practice, we get to take responsibility for ourselves and our experiences, and we get to know ourselves really, really well. And then when the stuff does come up, we know what we can do to transmute it and shift it into that frequency that feels good and aligned and at peace and empowered within us. And through that, we can let go of stories of being a victim, or, I have no control over these things that are happening around me, but we can control how we respond to them. And then by default, those things begin to shift around us because we have taken responsibility for our role in it.
Beautiful. Yeah, it is so much about taking responsibility for our role in things, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And so what are some things that people that might take this course should be aware of in terms of taking some responsibility about what these practices can do? Because these are not like light, simple breathing meditation practices where you just kind of get into stillness and quiet your mind. These are major engine building, generative field building meditations. So is there anything you want to share with people around that? Obviously we have your introduction as well on the event page, so they can listen to that. But do you want to share anything now about that?
Yeah, I would say the most important thing is to really listen to your intuition. And if your intuition tells you to slow down, that you need to, kind of let something to digest before moving on to the next piece, really listen to that. There's no need to rush. There's nowhere to get to. There's no destination. The entire thing is just being present with the journey and the process as it shows up. And, if you ever start feeling like it's too much, or you start getting ungrounded, it's very important to always return to the root pieces, always going back into our grounding, because the deeper our roots, the sweeter our fruits.
Oh, I love that one. That's such a good one. And yeah, for me, I've always talked about, and I'm just going to activate my super peace fingers here so you can see me in the rainbow field. Yeah, the way that I've always articulated it is, you know, like when you're in a house or any kind of building or any kind of structure, um, if there's not a strong enough ground, then everything short circuits. The house short circuits. So, if you're trying to move a lot of energy, you're trying to move a lot of electricity through a cord or through a system, then you have to have a ground current that's as strong and as big. The ground cable has to be as big or bigger than the other cables that you're using to flow the electricity through. And so grounding is like it's the anchor point. It's the ability to like stay anchored, and the more grounded you are, the more energy you can hold, and the more of a field you can allow, you know, to radiate through you and around you.
Yeah, we correlate it to like a tree, because a tree does have the shape of a toroidal field with its roots. You can even see it just right here behind me. Its roots
Beautiful.
reaching down and its branches up, and the fruit falling back down to nourish the roots. If those roots of that tree are not really deeply anchored, the tree will fall over as it grows up and high, reaching up towards the heavens. And the same is true for us.
Yes, the toroidal tree has been, I think, recently, it's definitely been like one of my favorite models for looking at an ecosystem. You know, for example, here's a quick sketch of a structure of some partnerships that I've been working with. And I have one that's even more really like a Torus, you know, but it's a tree. It's got a trunk. It's got things that are feeding down to the roots, and it's got the shared root structures that are feeding up into the tree. And so, you know, through that awareness of what's going in our bodies, you know, this is what we're doing, right, with our bodies, is we're actually learning how to stabilize and develop these lower chakric energies inside of our bodies that are so juicy and so yummy. I mean, we're talking about our physical body and our connection with the earth and our emotional field, so rich in our own personal mind and ideas and will. Like, this is juicy stuff. This is beautiful stuff. This is not bad or lower as in hierarchical lower. No, it's just more personal, right? It's more personal to us. And as we generate field from that personal rooting, when we're really well rooted and well established, then we can let that energy come up, and we can give so much more through the branches of our tree, through our expressions of the hands and the work that we do in the world, or the words that we say with our voice. We can plant seeds with our word magic, you know, and give so much to other people. And that's what we see happening in trees.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm super excited to finally be letting this course out. It's you know, it's been quite a long cycle for us to prepare everything and get everything ready to release it. And it's such a pleasure to have you here and have the opportunity to talk with you a little bit about it. And yeah, what are some other things about this course? Like, tell us a little bit about, you know, maybe one of your favorite meditation practices that's in the series that maybe they could, you know, hear about, just to learn a little bit more about it.
Oh, wow. Gosh, I wouldn't even know which one to focus on. Let me think for a second. I
didn't want to put you on the spot around it.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's like fire, breath, orgasm, or, you know, making love to
that one's pretty great. Yeah, I was just listening to the CD for the first time in quite a while last night, and feeling just really astounded at the beauty of so many of the meditations. But I think, you know, ecstatic fire breath orgasm is one of the first tantric meditations that I learned, and that probably is responsible for the first like awakening experience that I ever had. When doing that practice, I had been doing the practices for probably about 4 or 5 days for hours. I was really like ingraining it into my cellular memory. And I think on the 4th day, I was working with fire breath orgasm, and the energy just like blasted out the crown of my head. And I saw in my mind's eye this fountain of light flowing through me and filling my entire aura. And the Shri Yantra out my third eye. It was really an astounding experience.
Wow. Sounds amazing.
Yeah. And that's where my name came from. Actually, Kriyanna means graceful movement. And Kriya is the motion of the chakras opening and the energy flowing through. And Anna is graceful. So I got named that weekend with the Tantric community that I was in.
Wow.
Yeah. The surrender to love meditation also is really profound for people because life is about contraction and expansion. Our breath does this. When we inhale, it's an expansion, and we exhale, our lungs are contracting. And our heartbeat, expand, contract, pumping the blood through our entire bodies. And in that practice, we go through contracting our whole body into the tightest ball that we possibly can, squeezing every muscle. And what this does is all of that stagnation that's sitting at the depth of our being becomes agitated and gets loosened up. And then we relax and surrender completely into as much bliss, allowing as much love as possible to flow in. And I think probably with students, that has been one of the most profound experiences that they've had.
Yeah. I'm very aware of the power and potency of that. And I've done my own version of that for many years in a lot of the Jedi training intensives, in getting to know Yang and Yin and the experience of Yang and Yin. And in those practices, I'll have people drop into this like super, super deep yin states where they're just feeling all the senses on their skin, the sound coming in, the smell in the air, the taste in their mouth, the light behind their eyes or with their eyes open, just completely allowing the synthesis of perception to come in and softening the breath quieter and quieter, just until it's almost like they're not breathing and they're just soaking everything in. And then I'll have them burst from that space, like anticipate it first so they can feel the subtle tension of anticipation, and then snap my fingers and burst from that space into total flexing of every muscle in your body and a huge breath, like, and then breathing it out and letting it all come totally back to stillness. And it's
awesome. Yeah.
Instantly energizes the entire body. And in a way, what I just described is the equal and opposite balance of the meditation that you were describing, where, in this case, it's like the yang energy activates all the fields. And in the case that you're talking about, the contraction of all of the muscles, like, connects us to the places where we're most tight, most blocked, and most aware of how we're already constricting, and then unlocking that space. So such a beautiful yang and yin balance between those practices. And I'm so stoked to have the opportunity to share your work in that space with everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like what you described and how they're the same yet opposite. It's really cool.
Yeah. So many good things in life are like that. Yeah. So let's see, what else would you like to share with people? I know you've been doing a lot of these in-person Tantra workshops in the Portland area at Temple I Am. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, we actually just changed our name from Temple I Am because that was the incarnation that existed when it was just myself teaching alone and running the whole temple space. And now I have a beautiful, amazing team of people that have converged in on the project, and we changed our name to Turin Collective, which is an umbrella for lots of different branches, but Turin Academy is the school where we're offering coursework.
Nice.
And the whole system is set up organizationally like a flower of life. So we have these overlapping councils that are responsible for different aspects of what we're doing at Turin Academy. And we're working really hard to become a nonprofit right now. We have a beautiful fundraiser that we're running at the moment to submit our paperwork for our nonprofit, to get our nonprofit status. And so that's really exciting.
Nice.
Yeah. What was the other part of your question?
Oh, no, I think that was it. It's really about what you've been up to up there, because for any of our watchers or students that are in the Portland area, I want them to know about your work. And I know you mentioned that you have a couple Tantra workshops coming up, but they're already packed, right? You're already sold out, right?
Yeah, we do a 9-month program called Tantric Kabbalah, where we travel up through the Tree of Life. And I teach concepts of universal Kabbalah, but we do it in a way that's experiential. So we actually go into the energies of the Sephira and activate the correspondences that are in each of those Sephira. And it's a really, really profound experience for people. I'm like really astounded at the transformation that I'm seeing in students over the 9-month period of time. And our next one launches at the end of February. It's already full. But we do have an online webinar that we're offering simultaneously, so people can attend that course via Zoom, and it will be recorded as well. So if that's of interest to folks, that's unlimited with how many people can participate in that aspect.
Great.
And it's super exciting to take ancient teachings and then kind of present them in a way that works with who we are now and what people need in the current times that we're in. And I think that's why the programs are so effective, is because we're using lineage teachings that have been around for thousands of years, and they've been around because they work. We didn't make them up. They're working with the laws of nature and that have, transcend space and time. But we present them in a way that is working for us now. And so it's really fun and really activated experience. Yeah. One thing that's coming to mind that is really amazing about these programs is that we can get into these incredible states of ecstasy and connection and wholeness and peace completely of our own accord. And we don't need anything outside of ourselves to achieve these states. Mm-hmm. A lot of people in our, extended tribe, we love to play and experiment with entheogens, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if we're only going to substances to achieve these states of connection and wisdom, and we're not integrating the teachings with a daily practice and in a daily way, then we can get really burnt out on going to those substances. And so that's one thing that we're really getting behind, is teaching people how to get there on their own and how to do this with your breath and with your intention. And then it becomes something that is very empowering and feels really solid in our system because we can access it anytime.
Yeah, that's so beautiful and so appropriate and needed right now. And it doesn't mean that for some people that might go that route or go kind of the neurohacking route and try qualia or these different things, doesn't mean that any of those paths are necessarily bad in unlocking certain states of awareness. It just means that if you want to sustain and raise the baseline of what you're capable of and know that it's from you that can get there and that you don't need anything, like nothing needs to be in a certain way. You don't need it to be a certain night. It doesn't need to be a full moon. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a ceremony around it or any of those things. And that you can actually tap into these extremely high spiritual states and awaken parts of yourself and also receive incredible downloads and new information and knowledge and wisdom for your life and ecstatic states of bliss. Like, I am all about that. And a lot of the courses that we do here in the Guardian Alliance are are focused on accessing those powers ourselves, getting back to the sovereignty that is us, and establishing and accessing the spaces that we really want to access through our own beings.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really a living miracle when it comes to that, because I grew up in an extremely dysfunctional, chaotic, confusing, abusive environment. And I found these practices, and I made them mine. I made them alive for me. And through that practice, I saved my life from being extremely painful. And now every day I wake up like, yes, good morning, it's a new day, and celebration of life. And even if I don't feel good in the morning, I do my practice, and it takes me all of about 10 minutes to completely shift my energy so that I'm feeling good every day and inspired and awake and aware and present all the time. And, you know, nothing can bring me down. Nothing can take that away from me. It belongs to me. Because
yeah. Well, sign me up. Actually, I'm already signed up. I already got the badge. But yeah, for those of you that want to check out some of Kriyanna's work, this is what the session is about. If you're on the event page in the Guardian Alliance, you can click on the pre-register for the course icon, which has the badge down below, or get early registration. Or on the image. The course is now open. I haven't updated that page yet, but the course is now totally unlocked. So if you check out with it, you'll be able to access it immediately through the courses menu. It'll show up under Mastery Ring 2, or if you just, basically if you go to courses menu and you go under Mastery Ring 2, you'll see a link that says Ecstatic Awakening Meditation. And that's where you'll be able to get to her course and access it and play. And yeah, we're excited to have you guys come and join. It's really super deep and beautiful. And if you're joining us from Facebook, I'll post a link to both this event here on the Guardian Alliance, and also to the place where you can actually get the course through the website. So I'll post that for you guys. And yeah, it's awesome. You're gonna love it, Scotty. You're gonna totally dig it, man. And thanks to everybody who's here live with us in this session. I see Jean Marie. You're welcome for the invite. Glad to have you here. Patricia, hello. Daryl, awesome. Good evening, sir. And Sue as well. And Scotty, of course. Great to have you as always. And I see some other friends here from Asheville joining us today. Ambra Lionstone, good friend of mine. Hi, Ambra. And I see Farananda and Isis Rod, Jade, Kevin, Olivier, Suzanne, Paul, Brittany, Anders. We've got a whole group of people here hanging out with us. So those of you that are in the session with us live, there is a Q&A button, and I see that some of you have already activated it. Well done. And this is a chance for you to ask some questions of Kriyanna before we get into the course. So it's great to have you guys here. And if any of you have any questions that are in this live Zoom session with us, click the Q&A button, post your questions here, or if you can't find that, just in the chat, and we'll address those questions. So the first question we get is from Anders, and he says, I feel so much joy and love from both of you. Thank you. I'm really curious about this course, and I'm wondering if you could explain a little more about the different lessons in the course. Maybe give another example, talk a little bit about the purpose of the lessons, and share some different experiences people have had with these practices. And maybe he's asking if we can give him a little taste of the course. So I might do a little screen sharing and share a little bit of the course too. But yes, you want to share more about some of the lessons in the course, Kriyanna?
Sure, yeah. I have some of them that I popped up here. Let me just unlock.
Yeah, I can also pull it up and screen share as well in just a moment if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's some different sections that describe some of the vocabulary that is used, like what is the Sushumna, what is Tantra, what is a Torus, things like that. And it begins with some very simple concepts that we call the three golden keys that we use in the practice. And the three golden keys are really simple. I'm happy to share those as a taste right now. They are O-R-A, aura, and O stands for observe. So first you want to just observe what's happening within you. You know, say you're going along with your day and suddenly something happens and you don't feel good. It's first noticing that you don't feel good, because a lot of times we're going along and we start not feeling good and we don't even notice. We weren't even paying attention. And then later on, and you know, we have not been feeling good for a while, and then we're, you know, exploding on our partner or getting into some kind of altercation with a coworker or something like that, and we don't even know how we got there in that moment. So just first noticing, oh, something doesn't feel right in this moment. And then R stands for respond. And then the golden tool belt, as we call it, correlates to the response. So there's lots of ways to respond. Some of the basic ones are things like tapping, you know, like, so you're driving along in your car, someone cuts you off. Suddenly you don't feel good and you're in a state of anxiety. Just tap, pat, sweep it off, shake it off, make some sound, and then you can feel better almost instantly. And that's really great for things that are just very present in the moment, sort of like a maintenance practice. But when it comes to deeper things that are triggering older traumas, maybe that we haven't cleared yet, it can take more time and more attention, and maybe we need to sit like set some time aside and create a sacred space so that we can go through a deeper practice. And that's what the meditations and the explanations of the correspondences to the chakra, the Toruses, assists with. Once you have responded, the last piece is A for allow. So we observe we don't feel good. We intuitively decide what our response is going to be, what we need in that moment, whatever it is. And then we allow ourselves to feel good. We allow ourselves to feel at ease. We allow ourselves to relax. And this is a really important piece, because I think in a lot of practices, we're really into doing and making things happen and shifting things for ourselves, but then we forget about the surrender, the allowing. And so that's the third key of the three golden keys. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, for a little bit of a preview, we can share the screen with you guys here. And 1 second, and I will pull that right up. And we'll share this one. And just let me know, Kriyanna, if you can see it, and then we'll know that it's going live to everybody else too.
Yeah, I can see.
Great. So this is the Ecstatic Awakening Meditation course. And when you check out with the course product, under the courses menu, you'll see it here underneath Mastery Ring 2. And as you scroll down here, you'll see the I Ching hexagram associated with this course as a Weaver Wizard course, which the key phrase for this hexagram is inner truth. Super beautiful. And it's the 61st gene key as well, which is the Holy of Holies. And it's the gift of inspiration and the city of sanctity. And it's overcoming psychosis, because a lot of times the blockages in our energy pattern, in our energy field, really are the roots of trauma and psychosis inside of ourselves. So you'll see a welcome video from Kriyanna here. And then there's a whole series of lessons here. And if you expand them, you'll see that there's just like a ton of different topics underneath each one of these. And the way that she's broken down this course, she gives you an introduction, and then she basically takes you through some different key elements, like grounding for the root chakra or ebb and flow for the sacral chakra. And then she leads you into correspondences of that chakra and the Torus energy associated with it, which is basically just like the full variety pack of associations that are related to that part of our energy body. And then she goes into the actual meditations. And the meditations have, in many cases, they have like an audio meditation. And some of them are just written, like writing meditation. But like this one, for example, building the hearth, you would listen to this audio meditation. And then if you want to review it, you can read the text underneath. And sometimes you'll pull out things maybe you missed. And sometimes she includes some additional information in these text elements beneath the meditation itself. And there are other practices that where there's an audio meditation, and then there are several other additional meditations that we recommend you checking out to experience. And she'll go deeper and further beyond the audio meditation. And some of the meditations also stack on top of each other. And so we'll place the audio from the earlier meditation or what her recommendations are to basically do a certain meditation and then go into the one where you're at, if you're not going straight through the whole course, which might be a little much for your energy system as possible. But yeah, and the Weaver's Lounge is the area which is in the arenas. It's the orange one, and you'll notice all the course pages have this orange text, and you'll see this orange and yellow seal here, golden kind of bronze color. So if you go to the golden, bronze, orange Weaver's Lounge, this is a place where you can post questions and post experiences that you had during the course. And Kriyanna, we spoke about this a while ago, but we haven't mentioned it in a while, but we'd love for you to come in and basically respond to questions there. And some of the other faculty will also show up, like Alex does and others. We haven't launched a Weaver course in a while, so it's been pretty quiet in there. But we would love for you to show up and post additional resources for the students and respond to them whenever you get a chance. And, it can be once a week or whenever really works for you. But all of that's in the Weaver's Lounge, which is under the arenas. And as you can see here, again, if you buy the course under courses, it's this last link in Mastery Ring 2, Ecstatic Awakening Meditation. And that'll take you straight into the course, and you'll get instant access to that. If you check out with the course, which is, if you're here on the event page, scroll down, you can either click on that or on the badge or on the early registration. These are all links that will take you to the place where you can actually check out the course. So this week, as we usually do in the Guardian Alliance, we have like a launch special. So for the next 4 days and 9 hours, you can get about 30% off the course and join now. And this has a little bit more information about it. So if you want to experience some of Kriyanna's work, that is where and how to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to share around the course? And I can also check out and see if there's other questions here.
Anything that I want to share about it?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing we didn't talk about is, I assume that possibly a lot of the students in Guardian Alliance know what a toroidal field is, but maybe people don't recognize that our chakras are each of them are their own torus, and our entire aura is a torus. And this is a magnetic field that we're activating through these processes and practices that repels. So by activating this field, and the Kundalini energy is another name for exactly the same thing. It repels and lets go of it. This activated energy actually carries the things we're letting go of away from us and transmutes them into another form of light. And it basically becomes like compost for the new seeds that are going to be growing. And then it attracts whatever we're calling into ourselves that just follow this natural flow that is everywhere in everything. Working with the laws of how our energy naturally moves.
Yeah, and really it's you know, model for those of us in the unified physics world, and some of our attendees are, you know, students also of the Resonance Academy. We look at the torus as a natural energy pattern that we see throughout the universe. We see it around galaxies, we see it around the planet, we see it around the human body, we see it around plants and animals, and it's a natural way that energy flows in the magnetic field around our body. But what we're getting at, you know, with these deeper toroids and the chakra patterns, is that these are actually energetic engines that are working at even lower scales. That they have they do show up in electromagnetic readings, but they also are functioning all the way down at super high frequencies, down at the quantum level of the field, and you know, are literally kind of engines in the quantum vacuum, where the structure of space-time is actually moving through our bodies in a certain way. And you know, I think most people have probably seen what a torus looks like, but you know, there's usually like vortices coming in from either end, and there's either implosion happening in the middle, or it's a throughput, so energy's coming down and circulating back out, and coming down and circulating back out, and it's happening in a donut like form, you know. But we see that in our chakras, where there's energy coming in here and there's energy coming in the back, and it's basically imploding in a singularity point and sending energy up and down and out into our bodies and radiating out through our bodies. Yes. So it's a beautiful thing, you know.
Yes.
So Jade Lightweaver asks, he says he's been studying the gene keys, and I know Kriyanna, you have as well, so I might kind of pass this one to you. And he has 61 in his hologenetic profile, and which is the Holy of Holies, which is the key for this course, as the Weaver Wizard course. And he says he has it once in his activation sequence and once in the Venus sequence. And he's just wondering, you know, how often do these keys show up twice? And are there any specific thoughts about, in this case, if you have that key extra times, what that might mean? And I'm happy to help you answer this one.
I have to be really honest and say that I have not studied the gene keys very much at all, and I don't know the answer to this question.
Oh, you need to be hanging out with the Wonderland crew a little bit more up there. You're like right there. Well, it's good incentive. I have a couple keys in my chart where I have multiple of the same key in mine as well. And I've seen a lot of people that have two of the same key sometimes in their chart. So that alone is not anything super unusual. But there's definitely, you know, beauty to each key is very powerful, and each key is a deep connection with a part of us and a part of our drive to evolution and what kind of change we're making in the world. And, you know, in this case, you know, it's a powerful tool to be able to recognize, as you will through this course, the process of how we get in touch with our inner truth, and how we get in touch with the aspects of ourselves and overcome the shadow of the kind of psychosis of the mind running everything. The mind kind of grasping and running the entire show of our lives, limiting us with its beliefs, limiting us with its conceptions, limiting us with just our own personal will, not surrendering to a greater will of flow of what's happening. Trying to control everything. And the magic in this gene key is about the power of inspiration, which is breath. At the deepest level, inspiration, we're breathing in the universe all the time. And in this course with Kriyanna, you'll see each one of these lessons is about breathing. It's about taking in the spirit around us, the spirit of Gaia, the spirit of the field, the spirit in the heavens, and receiving that spirit into us, and actually through receiving it, understanding truly what sacred means, understanding how it is sacred, this connection that we have with everything, that is part of us. And that sanctity that emerges, where we realize that we can't treat other people or other things as less than us. We can't judge them as necessarily like good or bad or light or evil. That in fact everything has a sacred place and a sacred role in the universe. And that really happens when we come into the samadhi state, which Kriyanna talks about a little bit in her course, where you're actually accessing this state of communion with the universe, and it puts everything in its perfect place. Everything comes into its perfect place. So I know you can speak a lot to that, Kriyanna.
One thing you just shared that really stood out to me is, our minds, our thoughts really are running the show. Our thoughts and what we think about the things that are happening, our emotions respond to those thoughts, and then our actions follow the emotions. And so beginning in recognizing the mind patterning, our stories that we're telling ourselves about who we are in relation to the world and who everyone else is very, very important. And I love this analogy that this teacher, Sadhguru, gives about the mind. He says that the mind is like our hand. What if your hand was like just doing whatever it wanted and like smacking yourself in the head and smacking other people? That would be crazy. You would get control of your hand immediately. And yet we let our mind do that. And our mind is just as controllable as our hand is. And so we must take responsibility for what our mind is doing and learn how to focus and direct it, because then our emotions will follow. If we tell our mind to think about things that help us feel good, then our emotions feel good, and then our actions follow, and we're creating things that feel really good to us in the world as well.
Beautifully said. I love that. Yeah, really ascendancy over the mind, and I think in a way getting in deeper touch with our inspiration, with our emotional and inspirational field, the field of our feeling inside of us, really bringing that into greater awareness and greater focus kind of helps us to break down some of those very constricting structures that our minds have at times. Yeah.
And that's what this practice helps us to do, is to learn how to get in right alignment with ourselves so that we are creating the world that we want to be in, within and around us.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, Kriyanna, thank you so much for taking this time with us for this interview and sharing of your heart with us, and sharing with us so much about the course and about these practices. If people want to know more about you and your work, is there a place that we can send them?
Yeah, and I'm seeing Anders just asked, the meditation recordings are available on Bandcamp. And if you just look up my name on Bandcamp, you can find them very easily. Also, our website right now, templeiam.com, is one place, but our events are found more at this time on Facebook or Meetup under Turin, Toren Collective, or Turin Academy. And in addition, there's a book that my partner Maka has written, and I'm going to be posting a link here to his book, and it goes very, very well with the Ecstatic Awakening Meditations. Just another way of understanding them, another explanation that may be able to help people go deeper as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes. And yeah, I believe that, obviously as part of the course, people get access to the different meditations that are in the course. And I'm pretty sure that they may be set to be downloadable. Yeah, they are. So if you have the course, then you get access to the meditations and you can download them and listen to them on your own time. So that's, we included that as part of the course and discussed that prior. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no worries. You don't have to go to band camp also. You can just go through the course and get the meditations straight from there and then listen to them on your own time. But of course, one of the things is that inside the course, going through that, you really want to go through the course first and download them and listen to them and keep doing the meditations. But there's a lot of beautiful context setting and additional information and practices and cautions and ways to approach the meditations that she gives in the course. So we definitely recommend taking the course first, and you can download as you go, of course, but
it's a very rich experience what we've prepared here for the coursework. And for those people in Portland who want to experience it in person, we're launching an Ecstatic Awakening meditation series on the 26th of February. And people who want to do Tantric Kabbalah, you can join online for that as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jorge Duran Colindres. Excited to have you here. And Anders, thanks for the great questions. And please check out Kriyanna's partner's book that's posted in the chat in case you missed that. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the Weaver Lounge and hope to have you in the course with us. So thanks again so much, Kriyanna, for joining us. And as always, such a pleasure to see you and to do work with you. Thank you for this beautiful, deep offering, and so stoked to share it with people.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really looking forward to sharing with more people through this avenue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, we'll see you again soon here in the Guardian Alliance. And we recorded this session and we also put it live on Facebook. So when this session is done recording, I'll also put it on the event page in case you want to share that with anybody else. So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time. Aloha.
Peace.